Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome to the practice of being human. And welcome to We Need More Than Optimization. And really, what this conversation is going to be about today it's based on a recent conversation I had with a former client of mine and a young woman that I adore. She's graduating from college this spring. She's preparing to move to San Francisco, beginning a new job. And she's dreaming about side hustles because that's how she rolls. She does a lot of things and thinking deeply at the same time about AI, small businesses, and the future of work. And so she reached out to me via text and said, "Hey, would you be willing to jump on a call with me? This is what I'm doing. I'm really interested in this and would love to see if there is a potential fit." And so our conversation began with something very practical. It was, how can AI help small businesses, right? And that's a question I think a lot of people are asking right now. How can it help people like me get time back, right? But not just getting time back, but how can it help us streamline and organize and communicate, create, and ultimately support the work that we're already doing? And so I was delighted by this conversation because she wasn't coming at it from a robotic, productivity obsessed place. She was asking, I believe, a much better question, which was, how do we use AI to create more time and support while still protecting the soul of the work? And after we hung up, she sent me the sweetest text. She thanked me for meeting with her, and she said she already had some ideas about how to help me get time back while also making sure that I maintain the human to human connection and my authentic voice in the work that I do, because that is the heart of what I do. It's about being human. And I am not interested in losing the human component. I am interested in seeing how we can optimize and work as a team and work together and make all things better for everyone. But I want to be certain and very intentional about maintaining the soul of this work. So when I received your message, I was like, of course, yes, that is exactly it. That is the conversation. Because I do not want to use AI to become less human. I want to use it very thoughtfully to create more room for being human. So the question is not simply, can AI do more? Can AI help us do more? Of course it can. But the better question, I think the more important question, is, can it help us become more present for what matters most? And can it help me stop frantically typing notes during a session so I can look directly at the human being in front of me, right? And I've been doing that more and more because before I would be typing and taking notes and making sure that I wasn't missing things and then compiling, summarizing. But this with AI offers the opportunity to record and then to be able to summarize and then to take time to work with that and shape it and then send something that is coming from that heart centered place, right? That human place, and in a way that my client feels seen and heard. And the other thing that was interesting was, along with the summarization of a session and maintaining and keeping my authentic voice in all of this, right, is also writing emails or drafting emails that I now have more capacity to make sure that the message still feels warm and clear and true, but it's one and done. It's like I have a basic kind of framework for it, and then I can weave in again my voice, but have a sense of like, here's what I want to say, this is how I want it to be, and then boom. That's powerful and super helpful. And then, can AI help take care of some of the repetitive pieces that maybe my energy can go towards something that's more relational, right? Like to me, that's where I want to be utilized the most. And the sacred pieces, the human pieces, these all matter because I do not want a business that is optimized but lacking in soul. I do not want a life that is efficient but disconnected. And I don't want to become more productive and less present. The opposite. I wonder if that is a question for all of us right now. What are we trying to get time back for? Are we trying to get time back so we can do more and more and more? Because that is the nature of the beast. Or are we trying to get time back so that we can be human, to breathe, so we can be with our people, listen better? Maybe we can create from overflow instead of depletion. Imagine that. And maybe we can protect our health, our marriages, our friendships, our children, our nervous systems, and ultimately our spiritual lives so we can live, truly live and be human. To me, that is the real question. And I am all ears. I am open. And this is where the conversation became so much deeper than AI, because as we kept talking, I realized that what she's stepping into professionally mirrors what she is also stepping into personally. And I found that extraordinarily beautiful and not at all lost on me, because she is moving from control to trust, from performing to becoming, from managing everything in her mind to letting herself be held by something bigger. And she is not isolating. She's moving towards community, moving from what is wrong with me to, oh, I'm just superhuman. And that is the deeper work. That's the sweet spot. That's the practice of being human. And that is the sacred hands that we hold what it is to be human. And then near the end of our conversation, I asked her how she was living differently now, because we hadn't spoken in a few years. And I was just checking in to see how she was living more truthfully and how she was finding her way back to herself. And she said something that was really powerful. She said that she'd started talking to a higher power, that there was more of a spiritual component to how she was living. And she said that she had started going to Al Anon with her mom. And then she described how healing it's been to sit in a space with others, with other people telling the truth, right? Aren't we all hungry for that? And she talked about where people speak honestly about family and addiction, control, pain, fear, love. Yeah, where people say the quiet things out loud, the secrets. They speak them, they put them into word, they bring them into the light. And where she gets to realize, maybe for the first time, in a deeper way, I am not crazy. I am not broken. I am not alone. And I thought, there it is again. The thing that no technology can replace. The human voice, the honest room, the spiritual surrender. It's the shared story, my friends. It's the relief of being witnessed. What that feels like. It's so delicious. It's so nourishing. And there's this sacred exhale of, yeah, me too. That's such good stuff. We need support. We need tools. We need systems. We need help. Yes to all of that. But here's the thing. We also need places where we can stop performing. We can find communities. We need communities where we can tell the truth. We need language for what happened to us, what happened in our families. Again, not a betrayal, but a truth, a way of speaking, a way of healing, a path forward. We need spaces where we begin to understand why we learned the behaviors, the coping strategies, the adaptations that we carry with us in the world, why we learn to control, why we learn to please, why we learn to perfect, maybe why we learn to numb, and why we learn to become so impressive and so anxious at the same time. The mind alone can become a very lonely place. This is especially true for young adults, high achieving young adults, especially for oldest daughters. And especially for the ones who learned early to be responsible, to be capable, impressive, fine, and especially for the ones who are quietly carrying more than anyone knew. So I keep coming back to her text. How do we get time back while maintaining human to human connection and authentic voice? Because that is not just a business question, is it? It's not. It is a life question. How do we create more space without abandoning what is sacred? How do we let ourselves be supported without losing our own voice? How do we move from the modern world? How do we move with the modern world without being swallowed by it? How do we do that, right? How do we use tools without becoming tools? And then how do we become more efficient in the places that drain us so that instead we can become more devoted in the places that matter? Because that's what I'm really interested in. Because maybe the point is not simply to save time. Maybe the point is to return to love. Return to love, to presence, health, creativity, prayer, our children, our bodies, our marriages. Oh my gosh, to all of these things, to the people sitting across from us who need our eyes, our warmth, our listening, our humanity. Maybe the point is not to become optimized, my friends, but maybe the point is to become available, present, available to life and truth, to one another, to something bigger. It's being available to the sacred, the messy, the marvelous place and practice of being human. That is what I believe we are called to. And I think we're on a path. And I just say, choose that path intentionally. Choose the path that brings you closer to one another, to yourselves, to each other. AI can give us a whole lot of things, and it can give us a whole lot of time back. But only we can decide whether that time becomes more noise or more life. So carry on, sending love, sending light, and I'll see y'all next week.